Ito na for the Maribels, Marites,
So mo na ko yung
Claudia.
mga Maribel, Marites.
Si Marites, yung mga Marites, Mari itong latest. Marieta, Mari ito pa. Si Marisa, Mari may isa pa. Hey everyone, it is Heart and you are back on my channel for another adulting episode with my husband, Chiz Escudero. So we've been doing a lot of intense vlogs lately here on our adulting, and you know, we want it to be very light, we want it to be fresh and something that's very relatable, which you're good at doing that. So this is going to be very similar to our very first adulting because you guys love that so much. And we're not even going to talk about politics, maybe like 0.1%. Okay, so hi, how are you?
Long time no see, babe.
I know, this time talaga it was the longest time we haven't seen each
Isa't
other.
kalahating buwan.
Yeah, so ano nafe-feel mo? Galit ka na?
Gigil?
Gigil in a good way.
Of course.
Alright, okay. So a lot of people are still suffering from, you know, anxiety because, you know, they're trying to find their way back into the new normal. Like a good friend of mine is still at home. She's been at home for 2 years. What do you think they should do?
The new normal is already this. Meaning to say, if you can work from home. There are some companies, for example, in the States that actually don't require people to go to work anymore. Kung babalikan mo, halimbawa, yung 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week na trabaho. Sinimulan yon noong 1700s pa, matagal na yon. Hanggang ngayon, in-adapt na lang yon. Pero bago na yung mundo. Maganda rin yung teknolohiya. At pwede mo nang gawin ng maraming bagay mula sa bahay mo na hindi mo kailangan mamasahe, magbiyahe ng 1, 2, 3 oras.
Natulog na yung mga anak mo.
Then you have time for your family and yourself.
And it's nice kasi parang now people nga talaga are realizing na hindi na nga kailangan ng super office. For some, of course. But like, aside from making things, you know, better for people, of course, it's getting vaccinated, that's one. And getting the booster. What do you think about the booster shot?
Sinasabi ko na yan pa, dapat alamin na ng gobyerno kung ano bang mga pinakamabisang bakuna. Again, the best vaccine is the available vaccine. At yung booster, gaano kadalas ba talaga? Is it 3 months after you get fully vaccinated? Is it 6 months? Is it just 1 dose? Is it 2 doses? Pinayagan ng gobyerno 3 days ago lamang yung booster shots para sa mga vulnerable sector. Yung may mga comorbidity, may sakit, yung matatanda.
Okay, personally, I just want to ask, what do you prefer?
The best vaccine is the available vaccine. Like you, Sinovac tayo. Madami nagrereklamo, madaming takot doon kasi naunahan na ng chismis at fake news. But at the end of the day, the best vaccine is still the available vaccine. Kesa hindi kayo bakunado, mas maganda na magpabakuna. Sinovac, Sinopharm, Moderna, Pfizer, Janssen, kung ano man.
In general, what do you think the government can do to make people feel at ease? Maraming anxious, pero because madami din masyado excited, what do you think and how do you think it should be?
Sa dami ng political ads natin napapanood sa TV, ano ba naman yung advertisement tungkol sa pagpapabakuna? Dagdag doon, imbis na i-mandate nila, siguro magbigay na lang sila ng incentives, parang ginagawa sa ibang bansa. Hindi ka pwede pumasok sa restaurant, sa mall, pag hindi ka fully vaccinated. Hindi ka pwede gumamit ng public transport kung hindi ka fully vaccinated. Hindi ka pwede mag-drive ng pampublikong sasakyan kung hindi ka vaccinated. Pwede ka magsabong, pumunta sa sabungan pag fully vaccinated ka na. So maraming pwedeng incentives na gawin.
What are you looking forward to actually with the situation now?
For businesses to open up, for people to go back to work and have work, yung mga nawalan, syempre makita yung mga matagal mo nang hindi nakikita. Kasama ka doon.
Personally, anong una mong gagawin?
Hindi ko ba nagagawa ngayon? Nagagawa ko naman kasi sa trabaho ko, hindi naman ako pwedeng
Sa bahay
nasa loob lang ng bahay. This past year and a half or more, I've been able to go around because it's part of my job to go around our province.
But are you gonna finally visit me when I go to the States?
Probably.
Because I'm gonna be there for 2 months.
Darling naman, matagal na naman yan.
Dear, this is for personal reasons. Dapat nandun ka. Okay, let's talk about money.
Kala ko ba light and heavy naman?
Money is something relatable. Money is something that they need to the basic stuff.
Ay, sermon level to.
I know. Afraid. What is the best advice from whoever that you received about money?
He who has little is not poor, but he who desires much. Hindi sapat ang pera dun sa maraming gusto sa buhay kahit gaano pa siya kayaman. Sapat na yung pera kahit konti lang kung hindi naman ganun karami yung ginugusto at hinahanap mo sa buhay. In English, contentment.
I know. Kaya tanong mo, haggard na haggard, accept ng work kasi I'm a slave to my expenses.
Then control your expenses so that you don't have to be a slave.
So, anong gagawin ko sa States habang nandun ako nakatulala?
Magbasa ng libro.
Grabe naman yung magbasa ng libro.
Oh, bakit?
Buong araw.
Kesa naman mag-shopping buong araw.
Ano nga pwede kong ibang sightseeing?
Oh, bakit hindi? It's a different place.
Workout.
Well, you can work. You can work out. Hindi yun yung point.
Ano
Ang
yung
point,
point?
mula sa pagkabata hanggang ngayon, ganyan ang ginagawa mo, kaya tigil-tigil mo na ng konti dahil hindi tatagal yun. Sorry, nagseryoso na bigla.
Bumarel, like, oh my God, I'm so afraid to ask, but I shall ask. Was there ever a time that you got bothered with my expenses?
Of course. Just yesterday, for example.
Why?
Okay kasi. Again, contentment. You have to be happy with what you have and be content. Hindi mo ubusan ng bagong bag, hindi mo ubusan ng bagong relo, bracelet, bagong damit, bagong gamit sa bahay. Palagi may lalabas niyan. Bukas, makalawa, next week, next month, next year. Tantana na, tigilan na. Hindi naman tayo nagkukulang. Tama naman.
Tama naman. Totoo naman. Gets ko naman yun. Pero tama naman.
Kailan na gagawin?
Gagawin ko na. I'm sure there's going to be an event, a really beautiful event in my life where things will shift for me.
You don't have to wait for that if you really understand and truly understand.
Noted. Moving on. Do you ever, like, honestly, truly know if I'm lying to you?
Yes, but I try to avoid a fight sometimes.
Do you think-
Iniipon ko na lang, hanggang insana na lang para...
Bokot! Chat!
Obvious naman yung,
Like-
bago yan binigay sa akin, sige.
Like what?
Okay
Sige
na.
nga, ano doon?
Simulan natin sa
Sige.
aso. Sabi mo, ay, ang bait-bait nila, binigay sa akin to. Kaya sa
Magaling
ilang
ka.
aso natin, mga 5.
Anyway, mahal na mahal ko sila
Hindi
lahat.
ko sinasabi hindi mo mahal. Ang sinasabi ko lang, nagsimula lang tayo sa usapan 2, naging 3, naging 4, biglang i-adapt, biglang ayaw ng pakawalan. Nasa simula naman talaga yun, ang balak mo. Yun ba yan?
Parang ganon. Oo, ano pa?
Yung mga kung ano nakikita kong suit mo, biglang lalabas na lang, ay, binigay sa akin. Ang sweet nila, no?
Hoy, hindi, binigay talaga sa akin yung what?
Kumbaga, pipiliin mo yung battles mo. Hindi sa lahat ng oras gagawin mo yan dahil makukulitan lang siya sa'yo. Pero dapat dumating sa puntong patulan mo na.
Fine. But you're only looking after me, so. Anyway, when it comes to your children, obviously, nahihirapan ka as your eldest. That you have to kind of fix the way that in-install ang mga wires sa brain ko from the parental guidance. How do you make it different from your kids? How do you bring them up with it in terms of like money, saving, what they want?
Para ma-appreciate nila. Gusto ko na hindi materyoso yung mga bata. Okay sila kung anong nandyan. Ako pa yung mangungulit kung anong kailangan nila, damit man, underwear. Karamihan na binibili ko, online shopping lang. At hindi naman sila mapili. And I want them to grow up that way. Kung swertehin man sila sa buhay na mabili nila yung mga gusto nila, sige. Pero in case hindi sila parang hindi makahinga kapag hindi makuha yung gusto.
Totoo yan. Actually, totoo yan because ako, I really try my best to make them wear something. Hindi na sinusuot.
At the end of the day, clothes were invented, shoes were invented so that you'd be comfortable.
I'm saying watch,
Ganun din.
earrings.
Noon wala pang cellphone kaya kailangan mo talaga ng relo para malaman yung oras unless tanongin mo yung katabi mo. Pero ngayon, hindi mo naman binibitawan ng cellphone mo at nandun naman yung oras at lahat ng impormasyon na kailangan mo.
Advice naman to young couples that want to get married. I mean, what's your advice to them about the financial aspects in life?
Under the law, if you don't enter into a prenup, which we have, the property relations between husband and wife will be governed by what is called the absolute community of property. ACP. Ibig sabihin nun, what's yours is
Everything is
mine,
like,
what's mine is yours. Common lahat yon pagsasamahin nyo. Unless you enter into a prenup agreement, and then you get to define your relationship. In our case, prenup, which is a complete separation of property, meaning what's hers is hers, what's mine is mine.
Okay, so I have a question. For those of you who don't understand how a prenup really works, kasi some are afraid kasi, what if, knock, 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 may masamang mangyari sa partner mo, hindi daw mapupunta sa kanila, hindi na mapupunta sa family or...
In a prenup, it governs the property relations of husband and wife while they're still alive. If a spouse passes away, now the rules on inheritance will govern, which says that your spouse will inherit from you. For example, if the guy dies, the spouse will automatically have 50% and then from the guy's 50%, dun mag-share yung asawa niya at yung anak niya o depende kung may anak siya sa labas, etc. etc. Inheritance is always like a river flowing down. It never goes up.
Yeah.
So if you have a wife, if you have a husband, if you have kids, your parents will not inherit, your sister will not inherit. It's only when you don't have a spouse or kids or grandchildren that they start going up.
What are the pros and cons of having a prenup?
Kung malawak naman ang pag-iisip yung dalawa, pwede naman pag-usapan yun. Kung hindi, baka maging issue pa. Na minamaliit yung isa, tinitingnan na maliit yung isa.
Yeah.
Consequences of a prenup, I don't see any as long as you can agree on it.
Yeah,
But if
kasi
you will fight
hindi
over
naman
it,
siya parang swapang-swapang kayong dalawa. I mean, you guys help each other pa rin. It's just you don't want to fight na parang kunwari, bakit ko bumili niyan? Ganyan. If you could still provide for your wife, even if you have a prenup, or you could still help your husband, even if you have a prenup, then it's still the same. Am I
it
right?
is the same. It's just a formality. In your
Yeah.
case, hindi naman ikaw yung may gusto eh.
Oo, pero parang nagets ko siya.
Ganon?
Hindi, nagets ko siya kasi nga parang magastos ako. I mean,
Hindi naman. Kahit naman wala tayong prenup, I'll still say the same things over and
I
over
know that,
again.
I know
So
that.
there's no difference really. It's for the peace of mind of the people who asked it to. Kasi mawala ka naman, i-depirma na ako sa prenup.
Oo nga. Kasi nung kinasal kami, ang dami kong anak. May mga aso ko, siya din, meron din siyang anak. Diba? So, komplikado.
Now, if a person passes, he can give away by will half of his property.
Kailan ko ba nako-contest yung will?
Siyempre, pag malaki yung pinagtatalunan, o minsan, dalawang klaseng will, notarial will, ibig sabihin, may notaryo, sinumpaan mo sa notaryo. At yung isa, holographic will. Will that's entirely written, dated, and signed by the testator, by the person who wrote it. So, may mga kaso sa Korte Suprema, nakalimutan niyang lagyan ng date,
Patay.
hindi kinount. Sumulat siya sa diary, sa datebook na dati nang may date. Doon siya nagsulat ng holographic will niya, hindi pa rin pinayagan.
Kasi hindi pa rin siya
Hindi
written.
siya entirely written,
Also, you
dated,
have
and
to
signed.
note that. So, kasi uso yan eh, yung parang, nako, hindi na kita anak, ilalagay ko sa will ko na tatanggalin ka.
May batas din doon, hindi mo pwedeng gawin yun ng walang rason. You can only disinherit a compulsory heir, like your son, like your wife, like your daughter. Kung may ginawa siyang masama sa'yo, like pinagtangkaan ang buhay mo.
Does it have to have proof?
Yes.
Like paper?
Siyempre, nagsampa ka ng kaso.
Oo.
Affidavit. Or nung nangailangan ka ng tulong, tinalikuran ka niya. May mga ganong basis
This
para
is so
mag-disinherit.
interesting.
Hindi siya pwedeng, galit ako sa'yo, disinherit kita.
Tanggal ka na.
Sama ng ugali mo,
Tanggal
hindi
ka
pwedeng
na.
ganun.
Okay, so hindi pwede yung wala ka nang maagad, ganun lang because nag-away lang kayo.
Kaya nga tinawag na compulsory heir. Pero yung kalahati ng ari-arian niya, pwede niyang pamigay. Yung kalahati, mamanahin niyo ng compulsory heirs niya. Yung mga nakalagay sa batas na dapat magmana mula sa kanya.
So 50% of what technically I own,
You
pwede
can
kong
give away
pamigay, tas yung
to
kalahati.
whomsoever. To your dogs, to a shelter.
Question, that's just property. Kunwari, those of you na, fashionista, bags, jewelry, is that part of it?
Yes. The problem with personal property is someone can easily get it when someone is gone.
Unless you kind of have a file and give it to your lawyer.
Yes, but
Is that-
by the time the lawyer arrives at your home,
Wala
it
na yung
might
mga
not be
yun.
there anymore. So it depends too. That's the difficult
That's
part
so
about
interesting.
it.
Okay, this is even more interesting because I have a lot of friends that come to you. Yes, siya ang aming lawyer slash advisor, lahat ng mga kaibigan ko. At even people that I just met that I become close to, sa kanya ko pinapupunta. The LGBT community, there's no marriage here in the Philippines.
It's not legally
Diba?
allowed.
So, kunwari na critical yung partner mo, yung gamit nyo together, bahay nyo together, confused, gray area na yan. So, ano ang solusyon doon? If you're not married, kunwari hindi ka makapasok sa ICU kasi hindi ka family member, yung mga ganon.
It depends what you want. If it's about properties that you accumulated while you're partners, you can enter into a partnership. You can form a corporation. So that you are co-owners of the house, co-owners of the car.
Yeah.
So that if someone should pass,
Yeah.
then you still preserve your ownership over the car, the house, or what have you.
Kasi may mga marites, alam mo yung mga ganong character na, hindi, akin yan, kasi sa anak ko yan, namatay siya, chuchuchuchu.
Oo, pero kung legally nga, may ganong arrangement,
Hindi
business
nila
arrangement,
makukuha yun.
hindi, kasi sa'yo din yun eh.
Yung share ng anak nila.
Yung share ng anak nila, magmamana
Or
sila
kapatid.
doon. Let's say ito, walang anak. So magmamana yung kapatid o yung nanay, yung
Pero-
share lang niya.
they can touch it right away, or this person has to
No,
agree?
it has to go through a process because it's in a corporation's name. It's in the partnership's name.
So what's the process?
Magfo-form lang ng partnership. It's a legal document that you have to register before the SEC.
So
Securities
pwedeng
and
lahat
Exchange
ng
Commission.
ari-arian nyo together, car, can it be down to the TV?
Yes. And then you can endorse your shares to each other in blank. So that when the person is about to pass, he can give it to you.
Naka-blank na siya.
Nakapirma na siya or i-date lang niya para malipat sa kanya, ma-transfer sa kanya for consideration before he or she passes. Number 2, yung sa deathbed naman.
Yes.
The person can execute a special power of attorney as long as he's above 18, authorizing his or her partner to decide on life and death, to decide
Really?
whether or not the plug will be pulled, so to speak. Pwedeng gawin yon. Otherwise, if you're not married, you're single, however old you are, or maybe it's your relative who gets to decide if you're
Yes.
unconscious. So in this case, if you sign an SPA in favor of each other, that I'm giving you the decision to pull the plug. I don't want to be in this state for a
Yeah.
long time. If only a machine is the one making me breathe,
Yeah.
it's his decision.
Yes, yes.
Otherwise, if you're married, then your spouse gets to decide.
Kasi nga, this is for the LGBT, and it's hard because I hear a lot of horror stories that yung mga sila Maribel Kenesong mga nanay na ganung
There are legal ways to
kapatid.
enforce it. Kahit insurance, they cannot take an insurance from against each other unless they're in business together. Because the insurance code requires that you should have insurable interest. Dapat may interest ako na pwedeng i-insure sa'yo bago ka maging beneficiary ng life insurance ko. We're married, then we have insurable interest
Yeah.
with each other, but they're not.
Yeah.
But if they have a business together, that if the other person passes, he or she will not only be distraught, but he will have a difficult time running the business. He has to be compensated for it.
I'm so happy because I really wanted to include this in our adulting because it's really like a problem because nga wala tayong marriage dito.
There are ways to work around it so that you will be protected.
Yeah, that's nice. Oh, okay, so
Ang tamo ng ligad ng office namin, ng law office namin.
yun nga sasabihin ko. Meron ba?
I have a law office, but no, it's not for advertisement purposes.
Okay. Pero you can
But
you
they can
guys-
ask a lawyer.
Yeah, ask a lawyer. This is super big help for those of you who are, problematic about this.
If you don't know how to, if you don't want to, or natatakot sa gastos, you can just go to the website of the Securities and Exchange Commission and you can check out how to fill out a form. It's online now. How to form a partnership, how to form a corporation. I think we already passed the law for one-person corporation, so they can only be two to form a corporation. I passed that law.
So ito naman, these are like people who aren't married. If they want a profession, like for example, if they want to become a lawyer, what is your advice? Kunwari nakapasa ng bar, what is the first thing that they should do? Ano yung mga training skills kaya?
Just about the bar. I don't know about the other boards.
Okay.
Pag pumasa ka ng 4-year course na law, LLB graduate ka, kahit hindi ka pumasa sa bar, may corresponding ranking kang makukuha sa civil service. Tataas yung sweldo, tataas yung rango mo. Pag pumasa ka ng bar, pwede ka mag-practice ng law at kung nasa kapulisan ka, automatic na kapitan yon. Sa AFP, automatic na lieutenant colonel ka. So, depende sa career path na gusto mong puntahan. Pwede ka mag-practice sa isang law firm, pwede ka mag-practice ng sarili. Patuloy na magtrabaho kung naman ang pinagtatrabuhan mo ngayon bilang abogado na ngayon kung saan tiyak ma-promote ka. And law gives you a wider understanding of things, broader acceptance and understanding of things because you know how things roughly are run or where they came from.
Advice for people that are in law school right now.
I know it's difficult because nung nag-aaral ako ng law, literally walang social life. Klase namin was only from 8 to 12. Akala ko balik elementary. Pero kulang pa pala yung hapon at gabi para basahin at maintindihan yung mga kailangan mong maintindihan. I would leave the library at 9 p.m. after my last class at 12. But now, it's difficult given the pandemic. I'll give you an example. I have a friend who's taking the bar right now. The bar is 4 Sundays. They moved the bar. It's supposed to be in November. They moved it sometime next year. I think February or January. Solomon, geared up ka na. I'll take the exam on this month. Biglang papostpone nila with 1 month notice. And then the Supreme Court came out with a requirement that they should do an RT-PCR test every Sunday before they take the exam. And if they're positive, they cannot take the exam.
Grabe.
So what if it's your 4th Sunday already? You've done 6 subjects already. It's 2 subjects per Sunday. 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon. And on the 4th Sunday, you test positive. You can't finish the exam, automatic, bagsak ka na, gano'n ba yan? I think the Supreme Court should look into it.
Yeah.
Kung gusto nila lahat na nag-positive, pag sumasamahin na lang nila sa isang kwarto para mag-exam pa rin.
True naman.
May paraan naman kasi.
Oo,
Nag-positive
trash
ka
na
lang,
agad.
hindi mo naman kasalanan, sayang na yung effort mo, sayang na yung pinagpaguran mo, sayang na yung 3 linggo.
Ginastos mo.
And the RT-PCR also is not cheap. It's not being even provided for free. So the province is trying to do that for all the Sorsoganon bar examinees to answer their RT-PCR tests.
That's good advice. Okay, guys, note mo yan. Noted. Okay, ito, we go back to kind of what's happening on social media, yung mga nauusong mga millions and millions of views on Facebook, yung mga kapitbahay nila na binireklamo nila, binivideo nila. Ito madaming mga ito na for the Maribels, Marites,
So muna ko yung mga Maribel, Marites.
Si Marites, yung mga yung chismosa dyan. So, lang tayo, update lang ha. Marites, Mari, itong latest. Marieta, Mari, ito pa. Marisol, Mare, taga-sulsol. Si Marisa, Mare, may isa pa. Maris, Mare, anong chismis? Marina, Mare, ano na? Okay? Mariposa, Mare, post na. Claro? Okay. Love it. Okay, now that you know, so eto na sila. This is for you. Lahat ng mga pinapost na kunwari, minireklamo nila si ganito, pinapost nila na nag-aaway. Legally, is that allowed?
It's part of freedom of expression, freedom of speech.
Walang consent yung tao.
Oo, it's his right to do it. It's the right of the person filmed without his consent that makes him appear in a bad light to also sue.
Okay.
Pwede siya magdemanda ng slander, pwede siya magdemanda ng libel kung libelous yung sinabi, pwede siya magdemanda for being a nuisance dahil nananahimik kang nagsuswimming, or pwede siya magdemanda for voyeurism, which is already prohibited now. So, may karapatan silang dalawa. Pero gusto mo bang magpunta sa korte every month para magtestigo tapos sasampahan mo ng kaso? Depende yun sa kanila. But they both have rights.
So, kunwari, pag ganon, kasi ayaw naman na mahassle, gagastos pa ng lawyer, retainer fee, alam natin magkano pa yan, gasoline,
Hindi ko na alam kung magkano actually.
Ay, dear,
matagal na
parang
ako practice.
16,000. buwan-buwan. Anyway, so, how can they settle it?
They can talk it out outside of court, or they can talk within the parameters of the court. May tinatawag na pre-trial sa lahat ng kaso. Binibigyan ng pagkakataon yung magkatunggali, yung magkaaway, yung nagdedemandahan na mag-usap at magkasundo. And the judge, the prosecutor, the lawyers are expected to try to reach a settlement. Para naman hindi nakaklag yung dockets ng court na napakaraming kasong wala namang kabuluhan at kahihinatnan. So that it's a required process that everyone should go through. Pagkakataon na magkaayos at magkausap at hindi na ituloy yung demanda.
Okay, another thing. Cancel culture is so real nowadays. What do you think about that?
Ano ba ibig sabihin nun?
You know, as a Gen Z. Charot! Cancel culture is, for example, may artistang nagkamali. Tapos parang wag na siyang tangkalikin agad, ganyan. Ako honestly, hindi dahil sa artista ako, parang it's also hard naman to just sabihin yung sana mamatay na siya o magutom na siya dahil ginawa niyo to, nagkamali siya. Lahat naman ng tao nagkakamali.
I think some people in social media are too quick at the draw, so to speak. In other words, masyado silang mabilis mag-isip, mag-react, at mariposa agad. Tama ba yung paggamit ka na?
Yes,
At mariposa agad. And I think they themselves are sometimes shocked when they do that. Pero either paparindigan na nila, o tatanggalin nila yung post. But the longer you are with social media, the longer you use social media, I think they will get a hang of it and learn. Only that most people are really judgmental, even if they don't know the other person. Again, we discussed that before. You have two choices. If it's too hot in the kitchen, then leave. Don't look at your social media accounts for a day or two or for a week. Because you cannot stop them from saying what they want to say, whether they're right or wrong, however much you disagree with him or her. Diba, as Voltaire said, I may disagree with what you're saying, but I will defend to that your right to say it. Kung ikaw ay social media creature, or if social media help create you, so you live with the good and the bad.
Yeah, that's really
It's part of it.
Even like in your personal life, if you're a role model, perfection is really not of this world. It's how you go through life and carry yourself with grace after this setback that will make you into a really good role model.
Wala naman talagang perfectong tao, walang perfectong lugar, walang perfectong panahon. Basta tuwing madadapa ka, marunong kang bumangon at humingi ng tawad pag nagkakamali at pag may nasasaktan, and hopefully learn from it to make you a better person.
Ito naman, cyberbullying. Still a very hot topic. Not hot topic in our lives anymore. Thank you, Lord. I've gotten over that. I'm bulletproof and immune. Yes, I love it. Pero before, I remember, dumating sa point na
You were affected.
I was affected, NBI level, we already had leads, all of that. But then the question was, do you really want to do that to them? Even if hate na hate mo sila, do you really want to ruin their lives and they go to jail for it? Parang hindi ko rin kaya as a person.
Well, that's one, and the other one is you're going down to their level. At the end of the day, if they want to waste their time watching you, trying to find fault with you,
not necessarily me,
or trying to find fault with a person, then that's how they want to spend their day, which is really not that productive for their lives. Now, if someone copies or imitates you, remember, imitation is the best compliment.
That's true. That's true.
Just accept it, smile, and ignore.
And I guess for people that are bashing, for people that are triggered, or for people that are being bashed, remember all of these negative energy that you're emitting or receiving activates really bad cells in your body. Cells that you cannot, correct with no matter how much money you have. So as much as possible, even if it's hard, you gotta kind of step back and really make sure that you're okay inside. Diba?
Yes, because stress increases your blood
Risks.
pressure and can also cause other diseases. So
Freddy
it's
Aguilar.
nice to be chillax.
Yeah, chillax lang. Ganun na nga. So yun na nga ang advice. Chillax lang tayo. Okay, love and family. Yan, madami makaka-relate. Was age ever an issue between the two of us? Ako, may sugot ako dyan. Pwede ako sumagot.
Ikaw na.
Okay. I read the book Memoirs of a Geisha when I was really young. And I don't know if that messed me up in a way, but I was always like looking for somebody older than me that would kind of save me from like my knight in shining armor, keming ganyan, from my troubles and tribulations in life. And I just felt so good talking to someone who was dignified with gravitas. When I met you, parang, oh my God, ganyan, gabe, ang gwapo niya. Charot. But it's true though. It's
Ba't di ka naghintay pa rin?
Kakapanak ko lang nung nag-high school kang graduate. Paano kung iintay? Ano yun? Nakulong ka. Mabuti nang everything is at the perfect time. Now, naayos na natin.
Alin?
Ang sungit-sungit mo kasi. Habang tumatanda ka, pasungit ka na pasungit. Pasensitive ka na pasensitive.
Cut na!
Hindi! Alam mo yung, minsan, ang problema na to, ako happy-happy. Good morning, how are you, Chuchu? Ang sungit! Pansinin nyo, madami nag-comment sa Balisin Vlog. Parang hindi gusto ni Chiz na binivideo siya. Hindi ka
Parang
ganun
wala
dati,
akong nabasang
dear.
ganun.
In-erase ko siya. Pero ano mo yun? Ano tayo, beautifully married for 6 years. Feels like 20. Charot! Anong deal? Anong problema mo?
Ganun?
Lang. Hindi, minsan lang.
Hindi. Pag magkaiba yung tao na nag-asawa,
Hindi, dati na tayo magkaiba. Hindi
Kaya,
naman yun yung sinasabi ko.
hindi nga sa lahat-
Age daw.
hindi nga sa lahat ng panahon.
Ganyan kayo.
Ganon kayo at makakapag-adjust ka rin sa ganon. May mga panahon na may pasanin ka talaga at binubuhat ng mga araw na paano mo babalansin naman na ayaw mong idamay, ayaw na kitang idamay. So ako na lang, pero hindi ko rin naman kayang umite, maging masaya at sa kabila ng lahat. Unless i-share ko sa'yo na yung pag-ngiti mo naman, biglang babagsak ng kalungkutan at problema pag nalaman mo yung
Tama naman.
kailangan kong gawin.
Pero bakit sa gabi may exchange yung gano'n? Gusto mo gano'n? Expect mo yun?
Siyempre.
Ay, wait! Bahala ka sa buhay mo. Hindi ako
Bakit?
naniniwala dun sa obey and your husband.
No, para...
Change na. In fairness, we changed that sa wedding,
Para kung ano man ang samaan ng loob mo
I-blur
sa
mo na
isa't
lang
isa,
kaya
mapawi.
Mapawi.
Mawala.
Hindi. Sumasakit yung ulo ko.
It's the best cure for headache daw.
Fatigue.
I sent it to you, the
Parang
TikTok.
nilalagnat. I think I have to sleep in the other room. Kaya na yan.
Pros and cons of marrying someone who's older, then you roughly know who's going to go ahead of you.
Oh, you don't know that.
But chances are. So at least you get to prepare. So that would be one advantage. The other disadvantage would be, by the time mga nakadarling, pag 18 ng anak natin, mga 70, na ako. If
Uy,
you
hindi
compute
naman.
it, of course.
50 ka lang
I'll be
ngayon.
71.
71 ka na, dear.
Exactly. Yun yung disadvantage yan. Kaya di ba ang tagal ko na sinasabi sa'yo, ikaw naman, ay, busy pa ako. Shh.
May problema ka?
No, sinasabi ko lang, that was on my mind from the beginning.
Pero may problema ka.
That's a disadvantage.
Pero
Noon.
ngayon,
Basta,
puro negative effect ata
hindi
yung sinasabi
naman. Yung
natin.
pro naman, then, in our case, you got to learn from my world, and I got to learn from your world.
Guys, smarty naman ako before. Pero in fairness to Malino, imagine I was 27 and I had to think like a 40-plus-year-old and have kids.
As long as you don't look 40 when you're 27. It's okay to think like 40 even if you're 23.
And just the
Different world.
wisdom and having this adulting every day is sometimes...
Nakakapagod.
Hindi, but I mean,
Nakita ko na yun.
in fairness, nagbago ka. Yung kahapon nung pinagsabihan mo ko, ang ganda ng tone mo dun. Pumasok yun, you're learning.
Wala pang epekto,
So,
hindi pa natin nakikita.
Meron yan. Sa yung mga updates mo na ganun, okay yung tone na yan. Anyway, so there are a lot of pros naman that are even greater than the cons.
Definitely. And actually, as the saying goes, age should not matter. Age does not matter. Kung kanino ka umibig, kung kanino ka ma-in love, ano man ang edad niya, wag lang minor de edad, okay lang yan.
Ito naman. So, nasa YouTube pa siya, ang aking hot TV interview with my parents. Na everything is okay na. But how did you mend your relationship with the parental guidance?
As if nothing happened. Remember I told you, they're your parents. Kung ayaw man ako ng mga panahong yon, hindi mo dapat ayaw sila. Yung kalaban ko, hindi mo naman kailangan kalaban, lalo na kung magulang mo, because your life will be full of regret if something should happen to them. You mended ahead of time, and naalala mo, nung biglang niyaya mo ako, sabi ko, sigurado ka ba?
Na-trauma ka?
Hindi naman. I only had one condition, na as if nothing happened.
Tama.
Things
Wala nang
normal.
sorry, wala nang idea.
Wala nang ganun-ganun,
Okay.
kasi lipas naman na rin yan.
Okay, so we stop talking about me. Sila, paano kung toxic yung... Hindi ko sabi toxic yung family ko. Kasi, charot. Hi dad, hi mom, how are you? Anyway, kunwari toxic yung family nila.
So maraming gulo, maraming away, maraming problema.
Oo, yung pera mo, papakailaman, ganyan. Ano dapat nilang gawin?
Get away from it all and do
Rebelde?
something about it. No, get away from the shackles, get away from the chains, learn a trade, learn how to handle your own money, learn how to live life. At the end of the day, your parents and siblings will always be your parents and siblings.
Yes.
If you're going through that, find a way to get away from it. Not to run away, but to get away from that situation.
Yeah.
Without necessarily fighting, without necessarily arguing, but it will come to that. You just simply have to stand your ground. And hopefully at some point in time, their love for you will overcome whatever hurt, whatever pain, whatever disagreements they may have with how you think.
And honestly, like, only you will know if you're doing something right or wrong. So, kung alam mong wrong, then wag na kang mag-justify.
Hindi ako naniniwala may magulang na hindi mahal yung anak nila. Minsan lang siguro napapariwara o naliligaw ng landas, pero at the end of the day, lahat ng magulang, lahat ng tatay at nanay, imposibleng hindi mahal o minahal yung anak nila.
Yes. Ako, meron akong na-learn naman sa experience ko. Kasi before, whenever I'd fight or whenever I think about certain situations, you also have to think about what they went through when they were younger, how their parents were to them, and that's just a reaction of how they were brought up. Doesn't mean it's right, also doesn't mean it's wrong. But at the end of the day, all of that just means that they love you so much.
Hindi lang siguro nila alam kung paano pakita at yun lang yung tanging paraan na alam nila para mapakita yon dahil ganun din yung pagpapalaki sa kanila. But you don't have to agree with it and you don't have to live under that kind of situation. You can always love the best way you know how.
Exactly. So at the end of the day, no matter what it is, you love them the way you want to love them and they will love you the way that they know how to love you. It's still love.
At hindi kayo kailangan maging pareho. Di ba? The different ways of how you love.
Now, ito naman, from a childlike point of view, with a childlike faith in mind, let's go back to your kids. This is my last question. What is the best lesson you learned from your kids?
From my kids.
And Panda also.
Ganon?
Anak mo si Panda, di ba? Tumatawa ka.
Nakatingin siya. Best thing I learned from Panda, absolutely nothing. Probably one thing, not to bite any new person that comes into the house. Natutunan ko yun sa kanya na hindi ako mangagat.
Bakit nangangagat ka pa rin sa umaga? Kakababa ko lang, nangagat ka na agad.
Wala naman dugo.
Okay.
Sa mga anak ko,
Kang iiyak.
hindi Tough question.
From Jessie. Think like she's watching this when she's 21.
To be more patient.
Aww.
Because as a kid, I was a kid too. I was probably worse. You were probably worse when you were that age. And from Kino, I guess the same thing too. Because as kids grow up, 0 to about 7, they will be looking up to you and will be dependent and reliant on you completely. And then as they turn 9, 10, now they're 14, they're slowly detaching from you, and you try not to take it personally. You try not to feel bad. You try to actually be able to just be there, standing and watching without crowding them too much. It's a difficult process in patience when you try to do that. So on their part, I think any parent, ang trabaho lang niya, pag nagsimula ng mas mataas at maganda yung anak niya kaysa sa pinagsimula niya, nagawa mo na yung trabaho mo.
Yeah.
Ang problema mo, ikaw ang taas ng bar mo, marami kang gagawin sa anak mo bago siya magsimula. When did you start working? At age what?
13.
Oh, see, medyo mataas yung bar na yon. Mahirap pantayan yon.
Kuya, sa dami kong shopping, ang dami ko nang ibibigay sa kanya.
Shopping na naman, material
Sinasabi
na
ko lang
naman,
nung shopping ng
naman.
properties, RLC.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, basta
Ay,
mataas yung pinagsimula niya, nagawa mo na yung trabaho mo. What he or she will do with that nicer start than when you did is totally up to him or her.
Last, because you mentioned this last night, yung mga magulang na nagre-reclam na, ano ba ugali na anak ko, yung personality, hindi na maginto ganyan. Can you please explain that?
Bawat tao may sariling personalidad. Iba yung genetics tungkol sa katawan, na maputi ka din, matangos silong, whatever. Iba din naman yung psychology at personality ng tao. Isang buong kurso dinededicate para pag-aralan yung personalidad ng tao na hindi sa lahat ng panahon pareho. Maraming pagkakataon, totally opposite at magkaiba sa mga magulang niya. There is no scientific basis that if you're a nice person, that your children will be nice too. That if you're an aggressive person, your children will be aggressive too. It would still depend on how you brought them up. Hindi naman clone yung mga anak para gayahin ka lang at maging katulad mo. They will, once, like a butterfly, once they come out of their cocoon, they get to spread their wings and they get to decide who and what they want to be. And as a parent, you may disagree with it. You may not like it, but at some point in time, you have to respect and accept it. Kung mahal mo talaga sila.
Okay, oh my God, so that was really nice. Any other takeaways that they can hear from you before we end the vlog?
As we go back to the new normal, I hope everyone was able to appreciate the time they had with their children, with their parents, with their lolas during the lockdown. Because as we start opening up again, we will have less and less time with them. So hopefully, you were able to enjoy it. And hopefully not forget that time. So even if we go back to the new normal, meaning nagbubukas na lahat, bigyan pa rin natin ng oras yung pamilya at mga anak, magulang, lola, mahal natin sa buhay. Lalo na tayo hindi nagkikita masyado.
Noted. All right. That was really good. Thank you so much, guys. I hope you enjoyed this adulting. Very light. Something different from all the toxic stuff we've been seeing online. So this one's for you. Thank you so much, Mr. Chiz Escudero. Gwapo ka today. Thank you for the new haircut. Nakinig ka doon. And let's appreciate the necklace. Pak! Layering. Ako din yan. Congratulations.
Akin yung isa.
Magkano ulit yan?
80.
Gustong-gusto niya yung mga choker.
Ang sarap kaya mag-online.
Alright guys, this has been Heart. Bye-bye.
Like and subscribe.
Ah!